Hey Connor, how you doing? Sorry, just trying to sort my camera out here while I'm out driving. That's all good. Well folks, how's everybody doing this fine 31st of August? Folks, this week is a time for getting people to rise. It's time to stop falling for everything that's going against our human nature, i.e. corrupt government systems. Politicians far and wide think it's fine to come on TV and list out their demands to us human beings head on at Gaza. You think it's okay for them to come out and shout their crap on a TV screen where they feel protected? You see, when they want elected, they send people to our doors to tell us their stories. Folks, we're in a time of dire crisis against the corrupt system. Maybe it's time we started canvassing to the politicians' doors. How about we go and rap their doors like they done ours, Arlene and Michelle? You sent your minions out, your Oompa Loompas, to come out and try and get our votes. Now, people on the same wavelength as me know that your votes don't count. Your votes mean nothing. You know, these Kabbalistic evil bastards that run society, 13 bloodlines, the elites, the cabals, however you want to refer to them, I just call them a bunch of bastards. These people sit down in boardrooms every year, i.e. the Bilderberg groups or the Council of Foreign Relations. You know, these people all sit down and decide how they're going to fuck us human beings over. Every year to come up with some kind of new way of gaining control of our conscious minds, folks. That's the only thing that gives them its power. When we give up our power to them, who's that? Yes, Connor, I'll get to that in a minute. What they try to do with us, folks, is just, it's always Northern Ireland has been the capital of a divide and conquer tactic. This country was used to practice the armies, and train them for getting in and annexing other countries, taking other countries down so they can instill their own power structures, i.e. big banks. You know, we have been raised and pushed into a system where we're supposed to fear big banks. They're too big to fucking fail. Yet these banks are supposedly have all the money. Get funded by who? They get funded by the taxpayer. Now, I'll not refer to myself as one of those because I'll not give them a fucking penny. They'll be locking me up before anything of that sort. Folks, this Saturday the 5th of September, it's been a build-up, a culmination of the last few weeks of demonstrations, people going in and voicing their opinions against the corrupt state, establishment being a better term for these people, because that's what they are, just an establishment of evildoers on the human conscious psyche. So folks, we're still in a bit of a turmoil here with divided minds. I've seen many groups have been shooting up over the last couple of weeks, giving themselves this name or that name, you know. I don't care what name you want to put out there, but we need to fight for the same thing. We need to come together and unite. This video is more about unity and bringing people together. Hey Stuart McKenzie, hope you're printing all those leaflets for me. We need to come together, folks, and unite. We need to show this system that we are hell-bent on changing things. We're not going to change any another political system that's just going to do the same thing. Screw us over. You know, the funny thing is, there's a lot of wealth to go round. Everyone in this country, on this island, both up on down, on the mainland, when they give us nationalities, they give us flags that are supposed to represent us, they're just pieces of cloth. you can't really attribute those pieces of cloth to your conscience. That's another saying you've been brainwashed, you know? Okay, flags are good for symbolism. Well, they're not good for anything, to be honest, but they're okay for symbolism if they're going to be used as symbolism, as a uniting symbolism. Because these flags have been designed to separate us nationally and give us a national thought of dependency on specific nations, i.e. the Vatican's Republic of Ireland. Chris. See, Chris, that's the fucking problem. You're coming in collective action N.I., but yet another group has already stated that they'll be there on the 5th of September before collective action N.I. came about. So what's happening there is another hijacking of groups. It's just a group coming in saying, yeah, we're going to run this demonstration, This was already planned before your other groups came about to do this. I'm not having a go at anybody. I'm having a go at all the groups in particular. They're sitting fucking bickering amongst each other. One thing I'll not stand for is any political allegiance coming in to try and let on that they're fighting for the populace. Now, Connor, I know you come in. On the first week I went in to give my statement in the City Hall, nobody was wearing a yellow vest. Everybody was standing to their own conscious collective mind. But what happened was, after I gave my speech, there was a push on putting yellow vests on. All I'm saying is, you know, yellow vests, if it's a way that you want to try and get people together, that's okay, but I'm telling you, it's not going to work. We have a problem in this country with divided minds. People think I'm a Catholic, I can't get on with a Protestant. What they don't realise, they've been programmed with that nonsense all their days, all their lives, by their governments, by their local MLAs, by their fucking parents. Yes, parents are the biggest cause of the shit show that we are still living in this day and age. 20 years ago we had a good appeasement agreement, whatever you want to call it. That didn't satisfy the people. That was never going to bring about peace. That was just to appease those who forced their hands upon the peoples of this country. You know, I stated the other day, social services are they're a military wing of government. When I state they're a military wing, that means they're an operations wing. They're an operational wing for the fucking pedophiles that run this country. And have done for decades. You know, people's going on about celebrities, all these celebrities and paedophilia, Pizzagate, their slices of pizza, whatever. If you all forget that Jimmy Savile shook hands with fucking Margaret Thatcher, with Prince Andrew, he stood with Prince Charles. You know, everybody forget that Cyril Smith, the fucking politician, one of the fattest politicians in the UK, was abusing children and fucking with her kids. Exactly, Chris, it's not about groups. I don't mind. Just call your own group, give your own named groups. This is a collective gathering in the town. Spread awareness. This is for everybody. This is not for one specific group to come across and say, yeah, we're taking control of everything. Because again, that's just a leap into a power sense of consciousness, you know. At the minute, we still don't have the power. We are collectively working our way to gaining our power. And this Saturday, folks, call your group whatever you want, but I want to see on masses and groups in Cornmarket City Centre. We're not just up against the government, folks. We're not just up against the government. We're up against Republican scum. We're up against people who have been called up by their local geriatric wanker to come and stand against us, of those who oppose the oppression of these paramilitary groups who have kept us locked up in our local communities for a long time in a fearful mindset. You know, fuck fear. What have we got to fear? We're all going to die anyway, folks. The secret to living a long life is to try not to shorten it, a wise man always told me. Well, I tried not to shorten my life for the last 15 years. By doing different things. Looking after the mind is key to looking after the rest of your vessel. I'm not going to get into how to look after your vessel. Those things are easily found. This video I've waited for this week in particular to start this video. I'm going to do a video every day. Most days I'm working. The day I'm just running about sorting stuff out for jobs that I have to do. So I'm taking this opportunity to start now. Mossgaver and Corn Market this Saturday, 2 PM, folks. Now, like I say, I know there's going to be a lot of Antifa crowds there too. I don't care about them. I'm quite happy to stand off, face them one by one, or 1 to fucking 3 if I have to. That's how far I'm willing to go. Fuck them. We need to get out in numbers and down and show them. They are just a tiny fraction of the consciousness that's coming aware of what exactly they are set up to do. The same as Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Another group that's set up and put on the streets to disrupt people like me who want to bring everybody in as one collective consciousness. That's how we win, folks. We are only at the cusp. I stated 3 weeks ago, we are only at the first steps of what this government, totalitarianism, dictatorship wants to do to us. They are leading us down a path, folks. They have us munching and bickering amongst each other about who the best group is, who the best party is, who we're going to do this. There's no such thing as a party no more. Parties don't exist. There is only us as a collective one. That is what they fear. They know if we come together, they're fucked. They know they cannot stop this tidal wave of, let's say, on this island, 2 nations becoming 1 nation. I'm not talking about a united Ireland. That's just another title out there to fuck with people's heads and mess people up. You know, keep people pitting against each other, fighting against each other. When are we going to stand up and say, no, Arlene, no, Michelle, we've had enough of your racketeering. Please, if anybody can share this video to them, share it to them. I want them to see that there's a force shining through me. Not just me, but many others. It's time for the light to come through. We have lived in the dark days in this country for 60 years, all put upon us by a corrupt fucking government that doesn't want to see us being one, doesn't want to see us getting along, helping each other in many ways. So yes, folks, that's what the two-party system, not just this country, all countries, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, Tories, they're all fucking wankers. So they are. And I think it's about time everybody realised. And I've had people come in and argue with me, stating my posts, you know, they're out for the better good, but they're not. They're not out to talk to the people. They don't only talk to cameras. They don't come and talk to us. Biggie, another truther. They are not speaking for us. They are speaking for the cabal. They are speaking for the corporate conglomerates. Yes, folks, the money men, the money moguls, the money changers. You know, to go way back to King Edward II, even King Henry. Even King William was fondled with by the money makers. You know, everything in our history is a lie, folks. It has been for a long time. For many hundreds of years, you know. MK Ultra, mind control. You know, when the TVs came out 100 years ago. That was one of their main operations after the radio, because the radio wasn't able to penetrate our minds quick enough. But these TVs, when these TVs flicker, you know, it's like when we used to go to nightclubs. When I was a teenager, I went to a nightclub. It's taking all kinds of mind-altering things, but it's the strobe light. What did it do? It put you in a trance. You know, it was one of the key factors in a nightclub that, let's say, just help power up whatever kind of mind-altering drugs you might have been taking at the time, you know. And speaking of mind-altering drugs, you know, medical cannabis. Me and Alan, the N.I. kind of guy, if you don't know who Alan is. Last January, at one of the protests, we spoke about starting a real party to unite and bring things together. And things sort of didn't go that way. It's sort of, you know, it's like any group comes together, you're always going to have people with the ego mind. The ego mind is what sinks us all. But yes, Connor, I think you stated exactly yourself in one of the collection collective action posts. You said it yourself, let's come together. Let's bang our fucking heads together, let's unite. Because that's exactly what separates us now, Connor. I know there's a bit of past there. I don't blame you directly for bringing them our scumbags on the street. You know, I blame a political movement. They're a political movement too. They're not anything to be recognised as something special, you know. And I would like to think if anybody recognised their faces in your local areas, you would go and deal with them. Go and rap their fucking doors. Tell them what they are. Expose them. The same as I'm out. I want to expose not just Arlene Foster and Michelle O'Neill, but those ones before her who were complacent in all the troubles over all the decades in this country. You know, this was a training ground for military before they started going and invading other countries. If you go back and check your history, you'll see that, you know, this country was hit first because it's so small. And this is where they think they've got us, folks. They think they have us, where they can just pit us against each other, constantly fighting each other, Catholic, Protestant, whether it's football, Rangers, Celtic. They think they have us over every hurdle because we're a small population of 1.8 million. 1.8 million, you know. Imagine 1% of that 1.8 million even alone turned up in Corn Market, Belfast city centre at 2 PM in Belfast. And bring your banners, bring all your notice boards. Let's give out all the details, you know, let's parade them around the altar. But first of all, folks, I'm going to be in Corn Market early this week. I'm heading in because I want to see what we're facing this week. Yes, Chris, that's the kind of idea. And yes, I know what you're saying, Connor, a people's party, but remember, we're not people. You know, I know we used the term a couple of times. You know, we're not people. We are not persons. We're human beings, flesh and blood. When you learn to being that person, I'm not going to get into the whole straw man talk, but when you learn to being that person, you agree to being a slave. You agree to their legislations and acts and everything that you live by, that has you running your life. You know, that's not what we are, folks. We are human beings, flesh and blood. That's why I keep using the term folks, not people, not persons. You know, come this Saturday, folks, I would like to see a coming together of not that group. I would just like to see en masse a collective of people that are there to stand up against this system that's designed to shut us down and stop us waking up. You know, like I say, even if 1% turned up, that's of 1.8 million, you know. It's not, you know, nothing's impossible in my mind. Those 1.8 million of population can quite easily come together. Hey Thomas, how are you? Good to see you. You know, us people coming together is what they fear. That's why those two-party systems have been set up, to keep us divided. Stop us coming together. That's a few times I've mentioned that, because I want that to sink in. These politicians, Arlene Foster, Michelle O'Neill, all the Oompa Loompas that run about in their local areas, you know, Sinn Féin, come on the fuck Sinn Féin, well, what are you? You're still causing a divide. You know, you're still running the local paramilitaries in your streets. You know, citizens, Connor, a city zen, you know, I don't have to explain to you what a zen is. People like myself are on the path of the zen. We want people to come together, we want the conscious one. You know, they give us the internet. It's funny enough, it's going to be their downfall, but they thought that could be a great tool in dividing us even more. You know, with our smartphones, nobody communicates. You know, you sit in your laptop, nobody communicates. You think, oh, I'm communicating with people across the earth. But it's not the same as face-to-face, energetic conversations. You know, our energies. When we go into town this Saturday, I want the whole of Belfast to feel us. I want the whole of Belfast to hear us. You know, I want the collective energy to spread. Excuse me. These are my breakfasts. You know, a banana. I like a wee banana to give me some energy in the mornings. You know, why are we the way we are, folks? We are the way we are because of what we're putting in our bodies, because of what they are giving us to us. For the last 60, 70 years, they've been tampering with our foods, even the vaccines. You know, this whole virus hoax. I'm just going to say it now. I haven't in the last few speeches. It's a hoax. It's a load of nonsense. They're basing it on a coronavirus, which is another hoax. What they've basically done is named something that they found. That the likes of me and you can't go into our bodies and see, but they have found it because they can look in our bodies. And what they do is they give that specific cell, let's call it, in our bodies, they give it a specific name, i.e. coronavirus. And then after a while, that coronavirus, you know, there's nothing affects it because they've been vaccinating us for 100 years. It was the vaccines that killed most of the people in the Spanish flu. If it wasn't for their age or just being out in the environment of traumatizing war, killing people, watching their brothers being killed. You know, they've done that here in this country, and now that it's stopped, they're trying to make it out that they're the ones that are stopping this. The politicians, they're not stopping this. You know, there's enough wealth all across this earth for all of us, but it's being harbored and stolen by the few. You know, while they sit on their hills, they're the ones taking all the money, folks. While they expect people to live on £70 a week, while they expect the homeless people to live in the streets who can't get a benefit because they can't get an address, they can't get a postal address. How hard is it to give these people who aren't involved in the system, as everybody's supposed to be, how hard is it just to give them an address where they can get some kind of income, where it's easy for them to go and get seen by a doctor? No, they don't want that. And speaking of the homeless, what's happening with the homeless now? There's no politicians out speaking about them. You know, mental health's gone down the drain this last 3 days alone. I've known 3 people that have taken their lives. They've taken their own lives. William Lapp, good to see you. One of all, you have a lot of information about the corruptness, especially on the DUP. Old Peter Robinson, the thief on the hill with all his houses and big homes. You know. Anyway, I'm running out of time, folks, because I've stuff to do. Listen, this message is clear. The time is now to rise. This week, let's start coming together. Let's stop the arguing. I don't care who's for what party or what yous are doing. As I said, I am there to speak for the masses. I am not there to speak for a group. I'm not going to name groups. I'm not there to speak for a group. I'm there to speak for everyone. Because everyone needs to understand the corruptness that has been thrusted upon this little country for a long time. I love this country. You know, they're talking about vaccine passports. You can't go on holiday without you. You can fuck a passport. We have a God-given right to travel these lands by whichever means necessary, and they have no right to stop us. It is your belief in their illusionary power that stops you from travelling, stops you from doing the things that you like to do, that we need to do. Vitamin D, you get vitamin D from the sun. These so-called scientists that you all keep fucking putting across to me tell us that the sun causes cancer. There's no proof in it. They can't prove it. These scientists can't prove 80% of the stuff that they put out there. You know, they tell us that genetically modified foods are safe for us, and you fall for it, you believe it, you know. A recent study, I'm going to put a topic up in the paper, a recent study, you believe it because a recent study by Tom Geriatrics, fucking dickheads who wear a white coat, the wizards, as some of us call them, the white coat wizards. Yeah, the alchemists, you know, these are the people who are hell-bent on destroying society, folks. Hey Elaine, long time no speak. Exactly, Aaron. This is the point I'm trying to put across. This is the point I'm trying to put across. At what point are people going to understand and realise that politicians do nothing for us? You know, the whole breakdown of it, you know, they put borders on countries, they give each country its individual name, they give each country its individual flag. This has all been means and ways of separating the conscious for thousands of years. You know, mind control existed in the Egyptian days. You know, the pharaohs, how did the pharaohs get into powers? Oh, well, they were the wizards of the day. They understood the patterns and the seasons of how things worked. And because they were able to predict things like that, they were respected as power, you know. Ones who were talking to the gods, you know. You want to talk to God? Go inside yourself. That's where God exists. Not one of these temples in your street corner. Not in a town with these people shouting out microphones trying to explain to you up there, out there. God resides inside each and every one of us, and that's what's connecting us all. Not all of us, some are still disconnected because of the loss of faith, you know. I've lost faith in our politicians. I've lost faith in all governments. Yes, Bill Mom, 100% sunblock. Our bodies absorb everything we put into them, even metallic water that we're bathing in. There's ways to deal with that too. That's that, Connor. Made the professional compared to London, which was a bit chaotic. Yeah, well, great numbers turned up in London. Great numbers. A couple of great speakers too, you know. But what you need to realise is some of the topics that were hit on in London that went viral via media and stuff, some of the topics give the media an angle to aim at. You know, they're calling everybody that was at that protest a conspiracy theorist. Folks, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. You know, don't get me wrong, it's not easy getting through all the crap and the shit that controlled opposition put out there for us to make ourselves look fucking stupid. You know, it's not hard to do in the truther world, it's not hard to look stupid. You know, you need to spend time when you're studying the occult. You need to spend time, you know, you can go back to Nazis. The Antifa were calling me a Nazi fascist scum a few weeks back. You know, when you go back and look at the Nazis, they were the fascists. You know, Ernst Thälmann, one of the guys that started the Antifa movement in the early 30s. He was the leader of a communist party in Germany. Go figure. You know, someone says to me last week that communism could work. No, it couldn't. Communism was thought up by these think tanks who are hell-bent on destroying civilizations, you know. Artificial intelligence. Humans are the artificial intelligence, folks. It's us. We are the artificial intelligence. We've been programmed into this reality that we see, which is not real. This is not a real reality. Everything we have been taught and programmed with is a fucking lie. The only way to understand, yes, Connor, yes, Chris, bang your heads together. No more disputing over Facebook posts. Let's come together and sort this shit out once and for all. You know, past is the past. Leave the past at the door. Close that door. Let's open these new doors into a bigger environment that collects us all. Not just talking about Northern Ireland, folks. I'm talking about the whole of the earth, all across the earth. Now I know I have friends on Facebook all across the earth. We don't always agree. That's not what it's about. The only way we can learn is back and forth, back and forth. You know, in my conscious mind, there's no such thing as a mistake. There's only a learning lesson. We can only learn. When we do the things again, that's not another mistake. That is plain fucking stupidity for not paying attention the first time. Folks, if we want to go down in allegiance with felony political members, politicians, that's being fucking stupid. That's not making the same mistake again. That's just rolling over, bending over, and getting shafted by those in power. You know. Listen, folks. Yes, Chris. You know, hijack, you know. Well, it's like Rhonda McFarlane says, you know, everybody wants their 5 minutes say, but you can't just hand the mic to anybody. It's okay wanting to have a say. Not everybody knows how to speak. You know, a lot of people fear speaking to crowds. I've spoke to crowds all my days, so I have shouted at crowds all my days. It doesn't bother me. I faced the fear factor in this country for many years to put me down in the pits of hell, and I've rose up from it. I fear nothing now. I fear fucking none of them. Because I am what I am, and that is our term. I am. Chris, good for you jumping in, and I hope this video has helped a lot of you sort of come together and have proper conversations, proper organisations, no more debates. There's no time for debates now. Debating is over. It's time to bang our heads together, and let's oust this corrupt government. Not just the current one, but the ones beforehand. You know, like I say, you know, all these people in support of Thatcher back in our day who shook hand in hand and give keys to children's hospitals to Jimmy Savile and the likes, you know. These are the things people aren't dealing with. They're too busy talking about this fake virus. I'm just going to end on the virus thing, folks, you know. Our bodies, forever in existence, have always dealt with the seasons of the earth. Our bodies go through these terms as well, you know. It's like in the summer we'll get a lot of pollen in. We can't keep that pollen inside us. Our bodies need to expel it. So what do the bodies do? Our bodies create a cough to get rid of the stuff in the lungs. But now if our bodies are going to start these coughs to get rid of, and we don't want to give us these medicines, you know, medicines. They're natural ailments. Everything is on the earth to heal every disease. 90% of diseases are caused by your doctors, your GPs. They're just following guidelines off their computers, their internets, you know. One of my friends got pregnant there, their eldest child had, they didn't know whether it was the chicken pox or the measles. So, obviously with the measles, you know, an older child can't be about in a situation where there's a pregnant woman. So they went to a doctor, out of hours doctor, so to speak. And they got presented with this young lad, a bit younger than myself, who had to go on his computer and check images of measles. Because maybe he was just fresh out of the MRC building over in Queen's University, or stuttering in indoctrination. I've used those words quite a few times. But he didn't know what the measles were. He couldn't tell. He had to check pictures, and by looking at the pictures and looking at the pictures of this 11-year-old child, he didn't know whether it was the measles or chicken pox. So he called in another doctor expert. This other doctor came in too. He couldn't tell the difference either. You know, medical malpractice, folks, medical misdiagnosis is the third cause of death all across the earth. But yet people come to me and say, we hope you don't need a doctor if you get COVID-19. One, I will not get COVID-19 because it doesn't fucking exist. And two, I have worked my immune system for the last 15 years. I've not seen a doctor, I've not been to a hospital. There's different ways and methods. Fasting is one thing you want to look into, folks, for any disease in the body. Fasting is the first method to healing any kind of disease. That is fact. How do I know this? I've been doing it for a long time. I managed a burger trailer for 2 years, just 4 or 5 years ago there. And I didn't eat in it through the day. Well, that's a lie, maybe it did. A couple of times if I got really hungry. Trust the body will tell you when you're hungry. Don't eat because the indoctrination of the system tells you have to eat your breakfast, you have to eat your lunch, you have to eat your dinner, you have to eat your nighttime snack. You're eating yourselves to death, folks. You're eating yourselves into sickness. This has all been planned and programmed many years ago. Obesity didn't fucking exist 100 years ago. Everybody was thin. Only the rich got fat because they were able to eat more. You know, you go back to the 60s, if you watch all the advertisements for foods, they started advertising in the gym. They started advertising exercising. At the same time, they were advertising supplements for the body. Supplements to help you grow. Who the fuck wants to be like that there? What's it gonna do? You know, you get that size by eating vegetables. It's proven. On big guy, heavy, fucking bodybuilder, world heavy strongman, Marius, the Polish guy. You know, he spoke all about it. Spoke all about his vegetarianism, eating the vegetables. I'm not preaching the vegetarianism route here, folks. I'm just saying there is different means and ways to do things that will help the body. Hey Clint, hey Amir, hey Harry. Whoever that was gave a laughy signal, you'll be getting deleted off my post later on. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you. So yeah, folks, the key to success is all in here. Not out there, not in your newspapers, not on your TV. These things are all devised to show you how to think, what to eat, and what to do in life. You're depressed, you're locked up in the house. It's not your fault. It's all the programming over all the years from different events, your TV. You want to sit and watch your TV. You want to sit and play your computer games. You're stopping this thing from working. You're stopping the noggin from doing anything that's helpful. in a world society run by evil Satanists. Cunts, basically. Cunts. Oh yes, Sinead, I will be deleting the haters. I do not care. Those sheep will be banished. You see, the funny thing is, Jesus' dad was a shepherd, and shepherds shepherd the sheep. I will not be claiming to be a shepherd. I will not be here to shepherd the sheep. There's hundreds of views folks out there who want to keep wasting your time on these people that have their heads buried in the sand and their arses up in the air for the politicians to come and poke them. That's all you're doing. Opening yourselves up for veiled plagiarism. You know. I'm sitting here playing with a paper clip, and this is how I deal with keeping the mind ticking. You know, thoughts keep coming to the head. I was supposed to finish this video 15 minutes ago and I'm still going. This is what's in me, folks. I can't stop this. I need to see a true lift and connection between the masses. A connection between, hey, keep laughing, wankers. I don't give a fuck. It is what it is, folks. We need to come together. We need to make this government hear us. Oh, sorry Tess, I'll go through it later on. No worries, that's dead on. Yes Tess, you know the situation too. You know the truth. When we come together, they can't stop us. You know, I know awoke or aware. I'm not calling them awake because, you know, if you're tuned in, you know what awake is. Awake is where dead bodies go, or awake is where we would go to say our final farewell, farewells to a dead body. You know, so aware. It's collective awareness. Once we all become aware, we can come together. We can start to change things, folks. You know, we don't need to go into another political system that's just tweaked a few wee things to make us believe that we're going into a different way of living. Now's the time to rise. Now's the time to stand up all across the earth. You know, Australia's pushed into lockdown again. You can see the people on the streets. What is up with these police officers who are out arresting people for out exercising, for out walking? This is going to come here too, folks, unless we stand up and let ourselves be heard. These politicians don't want us doing anything to substantiate a oneness and coming together. That's why the two-party system exists. There's Emmons and there's Ussens. There always has been. And this is the way they do it. Hey Ricky, how's it going? Hey Angela. Aileen, I think that is, Danny. How you doing? Well, folks, I would like everyone to use this video now, to have a chat now about things. Go back and forth. You know, no debates, no arguments. Put your ideas in there. Things that need to be spoke about, things that need to be worked on. Hey Amanda. I'm doing well, love. Things need to be spoke about. Topics, points, you know. The walls. The message of the prophets need to be written on the subway walls. Again. Because that's where all words come from. Here. Don't let demons put ideas and thoughts into our minds no more, folks. I love you all. Except you ones laughing. You are part of the problem in society. And I'm not talking about you, Tess. So yeah, folks, I'm going to go on here. I have a couple of things to do. Might do a wee video later. But it's time to raise. Saturday the 5th of September. This Saturday, folks, 2 PM. Corn Market. Be there. Be fair. Bye.